All right, guys. Good evening, everyone. Guys and ladies, men and women. Welcome into another TigerBait.com live show. Got a lot to talk about. An absolutely phenomenal day for LSU football players, which is, of course, our headline of the chat tonight. And I'm going to wait for a bunch of you guys to get in here because we got a lot to discuss. We're going a night early, of course, because LSU Vanderbilt, the three-game series, starts tomorrow night at Alex Box. It's going to be a very tough test for the Tigers. Got a big win over Southern Miss last night, but after really having a rough outing in Knoxville, I don't know that Vanderbilt, number one Vanderbilt, is what the doctor ordered. So we'll see if LSU can win a game or so. We'll take some of your comments on that. Jared James Smith, what's up, Big Mike? I'm here with you guys tonight, and I'm going solo. Buddy Sanji ditched me. And yeah, buddy, I'm giving you a shout out. Let's wait for a bunch of you guys to get in here and get your questions. But like I said, it was absolutely a fantastic pro day for the LSU football players. I don't believe anybody hurt themselves. I think a lot of LSU football certainly helped themselves. I know there's been some debate throughout the day that maybe there was some home cooking because LSU was hand timing. Which has been notoriously known as a slow track, the LSU indoor facility. That surface has been known to be a bit of a sponge. But either way, when you had all those guys run 4.3s and it was, McMath and Kerry Vincent, Chase, Terrace Marshall running what he did, the debate on Terrace is whether he's going to be somewhere in the mid-20s in the draft or he'll be a second rounder. I tend to think with the way the wide receivers have been going in drafts, he's got a darn good shot at being a first-round pick, particularly after what he did today. So I noticed LSU put out their photos about 30, 45 minutes ago, and certainly they got them in Photoshop and got them real sharp, and everybody's looking ripped to shreds. So that's going to have people oohing and ahhing and across the country. But, look, Jamar Chase, in any cobwebs, and a guy who didn't participate after opting out of the 2020 season, looked fantastic. Tyler Shelvin rolling in at 350. I'm like, man, if he just could have, I was talking to someone earlier today, I said, if he just would have rolled in at 349, could you have maybe gone in the sauna for about an hour or so and just so you could have that 4, I think would have been a big deal. But 350 isn't bad for him. It's a lot better than him showing up at 365 or 370. But I think he really could have made a statement had he showed up at 345 or 343. Just having a 4 in that number, I think, might have done him some good. So let's see. Let's get to some of your calls. Brian Penton asked about Shelvin. And, look, I know he's a workout guy. He's going to bench press and hit a bunch of reps. I think he did himself some good, but I do think when GMs and player personnel people in the NFL start making phone calls and start asking, well, what kind of player is he? Is he a self-starter? Is he a kid that you have to stay on top of? Is he the kind of kid who's going to stay after practice and work out on his own because he wants to be as good as he can be? Those are the kind of questions that I wonder are going to hurt Tyler because he's been known as notoriously being a kid who's you have to stay on top of him. Academically didn't really want to go to class. I think all that kind of stuff can hurt him. So maybe he's turned the corner, and all it takes is an agent on top of him, and maybe being a pro and knowing that the amount of money that can come his way will be for him. One thing I did notice today on my Jamar Chase upload of his interview on our YouTube channel was a lot of Cincinnati Bengal fans showing up and saying, don't even think about it. Jamar's coming to Cincinnati. And I know that was something that was discussed on NFL Network, SEC Network this morning. Could Jamar Chase be joining Joe Burrow in Cincinnati? Of course, we're all sitting here, folks who were absolutely sick about Burrow getting hurt last season. And we think every pick for Cincinnati and everything they do in free agency should be an offensive lineman to protect Joe. There's a whole lot of Bengal fans up there that think that they have addressed that to satisfaction in free agency. and then maybe can pick up some other linemen a little bit further down. So, might Jamar Chase join Joe Burrow in Cincinnati? Charles Duncan, good question. Is Jacoby Matthews really committing tomorrow? He said he was doing it at 3 o'clock. Of course, I retweeted it saying he's got big news. And then immediately everybody says, hey, tomorrow is April 1st. Is it April Fool's joke? Jacoby says it's not. I talked to two sources this evening about 30 minutes before going on to talk to you guys, program sources, and they don't know. So I think maybe I'll get, let me double check. Someone was going to tell me. Let's see. I'm going to text my guy and see if he's got yeah, I think, look, it's if he does it tomorrow, I think it would be LSU, but it is April Fool's Day, so we'll see how this plays out. It could be an ultimate head fake, and you all think that it's an April Fool's joke, and it ended up not being. Maybe we'll have a definitive answer before we end up here tonight. Mike Douillon. Let's see, Mike Douillon. I'm love hearing the latest buzz on Devonta Lee. I'm one of the guys that thought as soon as he arrived on campus that he should have been moved to defense. I always thought that was his natural position. So I think, look, I got a text here. I think he said on Twitter tomorrow is April Fool's. I need to confirm. Okay. If you guys have seen something on Matthew's Twitter that, unless I'm missing it. Anyways, look, where was I? Oh, Devonta Lee. I thought his natural position was going to be safety, and then he started getting bigger and bigger, started heading towards 220. Is he a linebacker? And then you get into this whole scenario with guys. Do they have a defensive mentality or an offensive mentality? I watched him lay the wood in high school like nobody's business. But look, if DJ Mangus wants him at wide receiver and the light clicks on, I mean, look, we've seen multiple guys over the years. Jacoby Matthews was that guy that kept getting bounced around and took him a while to get his footing and find the right place where he needed to be. And maybe this is the start of something big for Devonta Lee. I'd absolutely love it because he's a good kid, and I hope it works out for him. Esteban gives us a go Tigers. There you go. Go Tigers, Esteban. And he says, outstanding day all around at the pro day. Yes, indeed. James Phillips. Yes. Are the Bengals going to pass up on an offensive line for Chase? It seems like there's a contingent of their fans that hope that they do and think that they addressed their offensive line needs in free agency, and then you can fill in the gaps in later rounds. But we'll see. I wonder what Joe Burrow's answer would be if they asked him off the record, behind closed doors. Joe, what would you rather us do? Take this offensive lineman, or would you rather us bring in Jamar? I wonder what his answer would be to the Bengals brass. Charles Duncan. Yep, that's another one, Charles. Remember Russell Gage? He finally found the right position, no doubt. Mike Smith. Any news about the quarterback battle? Look, we're hearing a whole lot of Max Johnson. We've heard good things about Miles Brennan. We hear TJ Finley's looking good. I'm getting raves about Garrett Nussmeier. What's funny about Garrett is you look at the photos, and because LSU's quarterback group is so big, you got a bunch of 6'4" and 6'5", 6'6" guys standing around him, and he's there at 175, 180 pounds, whatever he is now. And what, 6'1", 6, yeah. So, he looks like he's the JV kid that got there and he's getting to work out with the varsity. But I'm hearing really some positive things about how well he's looking in camp. So the future is bright for Garrett Nussmeier. And of course, we're going to see how this plays out after spring. Is there anybody that separates themselves, or is there a couple of guys that separate themselves? Then the staff is really going to have they're going to have a task on their hands to keep everybody happy. They're going to have to keep parents happy. The last thing you want is a McMillan and a Narcisse thing where you have a couple of guys hit the transfer portal. So we'll see. I think it depends on who the number 2 is and who's the number 3. But even then, I wonder if there's a scenario where a guy who's a number 2 is thinking, yeah, I know I'm a play away, but that's not good enough. And that a lot of times that argument isn't going to fly. So we'll see. But if they can hold on to at least three of them, and then Nussmeier continues to be what we think he can be, and then you get Walker Howard, who everything I've got, like I've told you guys in previous shows, they've got it figured out at St. Thomas More and Lafayette for him to be able to graduate at midterm. He's got to take a math course. There's only one NCAA approved outlet out there for the course he needs, and it's Texas Tech University. So I don't know how much fun Walker's going to have this summer having to take an extra math class, but hopefully he gets it done and he'll be at LSU at midterm. Blaine Smith, good evening, Mike. Good to have you, Blaine. Blaine's one of our regulars. Him, Esteban, and a bunch of you guys. Charles, glad to have you all with us. Mike Douillon, he's killing it at the wide receiver position. Coach Owen Stingley Sr. even commented on off the bench. Yeah, look, I think, look, he's been in the program now for several years, and I think he knows that he really needs to push. And I think because of the youth at that position, even though it's talented, he's got a real opportunity. You know, we've been waiting for a while for Trey Palmer to really show us that he was ready to step up and have a couple of guys at the top, you know, where, you know, you could have a Kayshon Boutte and one other guy be the equivalent of Jamar Chase and Marshall. So who's that definitive number 2 is going to be? Who's that definitive number 3 going to be? And I think that's part of the opportunity for Devonta. One thing we knew about him coming into LSU was he was much like Jack Besh, and that, you know, the old 50-50 ball with him, if the ball's in the air, he was going to come down with it. And so some of the same things we've been saying about Jack Besh were said about Devonta Lee coming out of A-Meet. Charles Duncan, you've lost weight. No. Maybe my salt intake's down, but I have not. I haven't lost any weight. Let's see what we got here. Mike, do you think the strength of this year's? What do you think is the strength of this year's team, and what do you think is the weakness? You know, everybody's immediately going to say linebackers the weakness, but most of the time you're only going to have 2 linebackers on the field. I think they're going to have an answer there, and I think they're going to be very good. You know, if you go line by line and you say, okay, quarterbacks, you like the situation there. I think you're going to have a starter and a backup very fantastic. I know Ed Orgeron's lamenting the running back group right now, and you got a couple of guys nicked up, but he would like them to be a little bit more bruising and a lot more effective than they are, or what he wants them to be. But then if you've got that issue, you've got Corey Kiner and Armani Goodwin coming in June, and if they do anything, they're going to push Tyrion Davis-Price and John Emery in a positive way. So I think there's not going to be an issue there. Wide receivers is deep. You know, tight end, obviously losing Gilbert, and what's the story there? How that ends up? That's you know, I don't have a magic 8 ball or a Ouija board on the show tonight. That one is anybody's guess. So yeah, the strength of the team is just, you've got a nice, strong mix of guys who are taking that free year. You've got depth. I think the defensive line is going to be one of the best defensive line groups we've seen in a while. So I think you're going to come up with an answer at linebacker. And even though you're trying to juggle some guys at safety right now, Jay Ward moving back there, you know, then you get Langlois and Sage Ryan that show up in June. So unless they just have an unbelievable amount of injuries, you know, just scattered across the roster, combined with the fact that you get Auburn, Texas A&M, and Florida at home, open with UCLA, on the road at Alabama, I don't see LSU being an underdog by Vegas in any of the games except at Alabama. So we'll see. Bart Smokey, my buddy, He's got the question that I keep bringing up. Of course, Bart's in Alexandria at 96.9 KZMZ, and I'm on his show every Monday. They're on from 4 to 6, 96.9. You can listen to it live on KZMZ. I think it's 969rocks.com. And of course, because he's from Alexandria, he's asking about Jacoby and Guillory. I sure would like to hear Ed Orgeron drop Jacobian's name here and there to talk about how well he's surging, but that hasn't happened. So next opportunity that we get a chance to interview Ed Orgeron, I'm going to ask him about Jacoby and Guillory. But, you know, look, he obviously had an ankle issue last fall, and maybe he's a little behind. And but yeah, I would like to hear some more out of Jacoby, because that was a big deal. I mean, I went out that 2 falls ago. I had seen Mason Smith. I went and saw Jacobian twice, Alexandria. Jaquel and Roy, of course. Went to Mississippi and saw McKinley Jackson, who ended up at Texas A&M. And after seeing McKinley, I thought, boy, McKinley and LSU was really in it with him. I thought, you know, McKinley and Jacobian were very similar type of bodies and where they would line up on an LSU defensive line. And I think that was part of the deal. We're like, well, one's a Louisiana kid, one's a Mississippi kid. Then recruiting took hold. And but yeah, I had the debate in my head, man, if I had to take one of them, which would I take? Would it be Jacobian or McKinley? And right now it looks like McKinley is the guy. But I'm not ready to toss Jacobian. He is still a young guy, and he's got a bright future, I think. So we'll see. Charles Duncan says he's hearing Anthony Bradford. I'm hearing that Anthony Bradford is surging, but you have a question mark. Everything that I've been getting for the last 6 or 8 months, that of those 3 guys, Bradford, Thomas Perry, and Cardell Thomas, that Bradford is the guy that's most likely to be a guy and be a guy who can be a starter of the future, whereas Perry and Cardell Thomas, in that order, were the next in line. So, you know, everybody's asking about Cardell Thomas a lot. And, you know, look, here's the thing. And look, man, everybody loves Cardell. Happy-go-lucky kid, helped recruit his recruiting class. Everybody fell in love with him. 9th grade or film of him running the relay race and at Southern Lab. And how can a kid like that move and that size? But, you know, a lot of the problems with Cardell were questioning his length, short arms, and so. And of course, he has had some injuries. But yeah, this is it. 3 years in the program, it's time to step up and be a guy. And if not, you're going to get recruited over. And you've got a big group of offensive linemen coming next year, waiting to see what Emory Jones from Catholic High is going to do. But I've got that as a probable to LSU, so we'll see. Fayhue Schubert, Eric Gilbert really back at LSU. You know, there was discussion last week of where he's at. You know, I don't know what his transcript looks like. I don't know how he finished out last semester. Obviously, he hasn't been in school at LSU. How much work would he need to get done, whether through an intersession or summer school, in order to be eligible to play next season, if he could even pull that off? Then he's got all the stuff, you know, in his personal life that he's got to get fixed. But of all the places that he could go, and if he had any opportunity at all to play next season, LSU would certainly be the place. But again, I don't know what his transcript looks like, how many hours he would need even to be eligible, and how he finished out the fall semester and what his grade point average was. I know there's some people throwing around numbers on message boards. I don't believe any of those. So, Charles Duncan says hearing that Emory Jones could play center. I think he could be a center, but I think he's a guard, but he certainly could be a guard or a center. And I think if push comes to shove, he might even be a Swiss Army guy, a Swiss Army knife guy that could be a right tackle if need be. And you guys are asking about Emory Jones. When might he commit? He wants to take visits, and I think now there's a lot of kids that maybe had sped up Now that all the schools got a darn good idea that the NCAA is about to end the den period and unofficial and official visits are going to take place, I think we're going to see a lot of those things happen. Guys, I want to talk to you guys about Pride Roofing. Of course, Mike Faraday and Alex Martinez, they sponsor us each week. Absolutely fantastic having those guys as the official roofing company of TigerBait.com. That promo that I've been mentioning now, I guess for about a month, a lot of you have jumped on it, and they're going to continue to run it. If you have any shingle damage or you think you're towards the tail end of the life of your roof, give them the call. Have them come out and give you a quote. The free roof inspection doesn't cost you anything. And if you give them a call at 275-2041 and say you saw it on TigerBait, not only going to get the free roof inspection to get an idea what a new roof's going to run you, but they're going to give you free TigerBait for a year. So, that's a $99 value. So give them a call. If you have any hail damage, if you've suffered any damage through any of the storms in the last 6 months, give them a holler, a free roof inspection. They're on board with all of the insurance adjusters. They use the same software. They've got enough shingles in their yard to do about 150 roofs. A lot of roofing companies out there, if they give you a quote and once they get the approval and they slot you, you're probably 2 months away from getting a new roof. Mike tells me that they can be out there in 2 weeks and get you done. And the average middle class home roofing size, a lot of times they can get your old roof torn down, off, and in the dumpster and your new roof on by the end of the day. That's how fast they are. So give them a call, Pride Roofing, the official roofing company of TigerBait, and absolutely fantastic people. LSU grad, Mike, grew up in Baton Rouge, phenomenal people, and as always, love having Pride Roofing is the official roofing company of TigerBait.com. Let me get to some more of your questions. And for those of you who are wondering what's Mike doing live, if you came in late, we're going live on Wednesday night this week because LSU baseball is going Thursday, Friday, Saturday. #1 Vanderbilt coming to town. And I don't know what you guys think. Can LSU win one? Can they somehow do something major and win 2 out of 3? I think they're going to win 1 out of 3. I don't think they're going to get swept, but it wouldn't be shocking if they did get swept. But after laying an egg in Knoxville in some hard-fought games that really they look snake-bit, I don't think Vanderbilt is who you would draw up as who you wanted your next SEC opponent to try and get well on. Brandon Reese on YouTube. And by the way, we're on YouTube and Facebook. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, it's TigerBait.com. Don't put the dot in there. Just type in TigerBait.com. I'm telling you, with all the pro day stuff, the player interviews, the highlight videos from practices. I will be out at football practice tomorrow. We'll have a full practice report, photo gallery in our own video tomorrow. We didn't get in last week, of course, because of weather. And if they go indoors in rain, we're out of luck and we lose our one media opportunity of the week. But anyways, our YouTube channel, I'm loading up probably average 3 videos a day. So go to our YouTube channel, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we've got a lot there for you. So I think between this show, all the pro day interviews from today, and player interviews tomorrow, and other stuff, probably in a span of 48 hours, you're going to have over a dozen LSU football videos on our YouTube channel, and that's all free, of course. Go check it out. Let's see. And I'm going back and forth. Daniel Laviolette, too soon. Boy, I can't imagine how Preston would butcher that last name. Too soon, expect Mason Smith to be a freshman All-American. Man, I don't think that's far-fetched at all. I mean, when you got Ed Orgeron coming out last night saying he's their best inside pass rusher right now, he's got an opportunity not only he's going to get playing time, but possibly push for a starting spot. Look, don't kid yourself. There's a little bit of him trying to light a fire under some other guys as well. Glenn Logan's out there walking around in a boot right now. Nothing to worry about. But yeah, I think he's going to be absolutely fantastic. I think there's several more than a few LSU freshmen that could be on an all SEC freshman team. Of course, being an All-American nationwide is another deal. But Mason Smith is an absolute beast. And you're talking about a kid who came in arguably the top player in Louisiana. I had Savion Jones right there with him. I had Savion Jones one tick higher. But I think there's several kids. Even though it's a very deep team coming back, I do think that there's some freshmen that can really turn some heads and have some nice impacts. Dane Bergeron, hi Mike, how you doing, Dane? How good is Bug Strong? That's one thing about Ed Orgeron. When he meets with us and he starts talking about who impressed him at practice, if he says it, he means it. And he singled him out several times already, and I know in some of his radio interviews as well. So that's why I think they're going to have the answer that you're looking for at linebacker, and that's not going to be as big of a concern that a lot of people have had. Boy, this is a tricky one, Ronald John Elias. And it's a question that requires being very politically correct. Mike, what's your take on Coach O and the Guice comments by security guard at the Superdome? Look, the bottom line is we all know that Derrius Guice has got a lot of issues. He's got a lot of legal issues coming his way. Probably will never play a down of football again. And no one's going to deny that he's not capable of saying words like that. A good chance that he probably did. But then it gets into the whole deal of like, there's the things that he's done that are misdemeanors and charged with felonies. And then there's the things that you can say. I mean, saying disgusting things is disgusting. But if you step back and you say, okay, if it's a he said, she said, that puts other parties overhead in a bind on the correct way to handle that. If you're law enforcement, what would you charge him with? I've asked several lawyers that, and they say there's no DA or anybody that's going to charge somebody for using awful language. And it is awful language. That's something you should never say to an elderly woman. It's absolutely disgusting. And if there was anybody nearby that overheard him saying it, they should have, done what they could with a football player of his size. But bottom line is it's just another episode that's things that LSU needs to get behind them. But again, I don't know what you would do from a legal standpoint, and the legal part of it is what matters. There's something called free speech, and ugly speech and nasty speech is still free speech. But what we do with people like that, we ostracize them, and we don't have them in our lives, and we don't have them as a part of our organization, and we don't employ them. So, and that's what's happening to Derrius Guice right now. He doesn't have a job, and he ain't going to have one, and we're going to see what happens to him long term. So all of it's unfortunate. Yeah, Charles Duncan, Guice is guilty of being an a-hole, but it's not against the law. Yes. Now, had he worded what he allegedly said to that woman in a different way, and he said, I'm gonna, instead of I want you to, then all of a sudden that's a threat. And that is different. And that is a felony. So, yeah. Just a whole ugly deal. But I'm really enjoying the people throwing shoes at LSU. But there's a whole lot of people down the chain that go back years to Derrius Guice that all of us that are getting a pass. And a lot of it is kind of reminiscent of like, people were saying about Cecil Collins when he came out of Leesville. Got away with so much stuff in high school and people turned the other cheek, and then you had a problem. I will say this about Derrius Guice. When he signed with LSU, and I had heard some rumblings about him, but the thing about Derrius was like every time I was around him, I saw that smile he had, and to me he just seemed like a conniving kid who was always up to something, but nothing that was going to be felonious. But people that were familiar with him in high school would say things to me like, I have a hard time believing he'll finish out a year at LSU before he has to get run off or he gets in trouble and they're going to have to babysit him. And then after 2-3 years went by, I'm like, well, that didn't materialize. But obviously there was a whole lot of junk going on behind the scenes that didn't happen. And of course, as soon as he got to the NFL, it blew up. Let's see. Let's move on to something more pleasant. Let's see, guys. Let me scroll through here. I think I missed a bunch of you guys. Bart, what is the status of attendance at the Rose Bowl? Any of you guys see anything new on that? Maybe that's something that Gavin Newsom's going to have to deal with. And it'll be 100% because he's worried about getting recalled and he's going to make everything wide open. I don't know. You never know what's going on in California. We're going to have to wait and see. But I know that's a trip that I'm imagining you might want to go. I know a lot of my friends would like to go. I know a lot of people were getting excited when there was some talk 3 or 4 months ago that maybe that game might get played in Las Vegas. Had that game got played, I mean, look, everybody wants to go play in the Rose Bowl. But I know a lot of people who were hoping it would get moved to Las Vegas because they want to go and, first of all, see that new Raiders stadium. And those of you who like to gamble, we're looking forward to that. Let's see. Oh my God, you are taking the Trump approach. What the F is matter with you? He is guilty as hell. I wish him the best. No one said he wasn't guilty. You can be guilty of foul language, but foul language isn't a felony unless it's threatening language. Clean the wax out of your ears, son. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. All right. LSU fan, hopefully our defense will show up. Are you talking about football? I think LSU's defense is going to be fine. If you're talking about baseball, we'll see how that goes against Vanderbilt this weekend. David Stingley Jr. What do you think about LSU winning another national championship this year? You know, like I said, if LSU stays healthy and they start clicking and you got a whole bunch of hungry kids who got a sour taste in their mouth after the way last season went, and look, anything can happen. You go across the board and you start breaking down LSU's schedule and really putting each team under the magnifying glass, and LSU's got a real opportunity to have a very, very good football season. I'm not even thinking anything less than 10-2. I think 11-1 is realistic. You know, if you're going to say, well, that's going to be tough at Alabama, you want to give them the one there. Could they trip up somewhere and not play to the best of their ability and somebody gets them, you know, and that gets you the two. But I just, like I said, unless there's just a humongous amount of injuries, one of the worst ever years, and I don't see anything less than 10-2. So, but look, where were we at? A lot of us were in that 10-2, 11-1 range for 2019, and look what happened. You can catch fire, get confidence, start clicking, and look, you know, we say it all the time. Boy, Alabama sure has a lot to replace. Got a whole lot of guys that aren't there anymore. But you learn year after year that you don't. You always end up putting Alabama as your pick in the West, and then you make LSU and whoever else in the West prove it. And could this be that year? We'll see. You never know what happened. Kendall Netterville. Am I saying it right, Kendall? Instead of two L's, you got an E on there. Is it Kendally or is it Kendall? Let me know. Is Coy Moore the next wide receiver that LSU will produce? I tell you what, I was a guy watching Coy in high school and watching him run routes. I admit to being a little skeptical on him. And some other people kind of thought similar to me. I saw a lot of wasted movement in the way he runs routes, arms always flailing outside, but the year he had last year, I think he's going to have a lot of us that were questioning some things. And I was already like, boy, you know, look, he had a much better freshman year than I thought he was going to have, and he made some significant catches for LSU last year. So I think, I think he's going to be a very good one for LSU, and I think he's going to keep getting bigger and stronger. And you can just imagine what he's going to be like in another year as well. So bright future for Coy Moore. Beast Mode 21, Florida still don't know which Gators team you're going to get. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Dan Mullen. I watched a bit of their pro day today. He's such a phony. I can't stand that guy. What's funny about him is his players don't like him. His former players don't like him, but he's got that system and it works. And, we'll see how that pans out. Let me see. I want to get some more of your questions in, guys. We're going 35 minutes so far. I'm on fire has got a great comment. I hope the chemistry is a lot better. Last year's team seemed toxic. Absolutely. Last year was absolutely a complete 180 from the previous year from a coaching standpoint, off the field issues, lack of leadership in each of the position rooms. It was a mess. And that's why I think this group is very hungry and they're excited to show what they can do and get this program on the right track. I think it's partially embarrassment, and I think it's partially some guys seeing a real opportunity, combined with a lot of guys that opted to come back. Big news when all those offensive linemen, Deculus, Ingram, on and on, all decided to come back. Dane Bergeron agrees with me on Mullen. Tyler, Kenny Russell, LSU has been recruiting at such a high level in recent years. Anything not better than 10 wins should be a disappointment. We have too much talent to be underperforming. Absolutely. And, I'm watching, of course, we've only had one access of practice, one, and then I've seen all the videos, the pool video that LSU sends us. But when I say Jake Pete's out there, I swear to you, what he's doing in the 20 minutes that we're out there, the way he's interacting with players, the instruction that he's given, I'm telling you, it's a carbon copy of what we were seeing last spring or 2 springs ago from Joe Brady. It's uncanny. And of course, we saw Joe Brady's tweet 2 days ago. Where do I get the popcorn? One of DJ Mangus's tweets. Everybody saw that one a few days ago. So a lot to be excited about. I think there's a lot to be excited about. First of all, we're about to have the dead period in recruiting. We're about to have the high school spring evaluation period. I can't wait to get on the road for that and bring you guys that are TigerBait Premium a bunch of stuff from that. Go subscribe to TigerBait, by the way. Check us out. Choose the annual package we want to have you. Got a lot that's going to be coming your way in the coming months leading into football season. Camps in June and July. I've been seeing some of the rankings come out from different places. Some of it looks like they're on target. Others, I'm scratching my head. And some of the information I'm getting out there that of what some of the networks are doing with recruiting analysts and lack of them, and the focus going forward, guys, it's astonishing to me. I think for years you've had guys out there that follow recruiting that really have taken issue with where this kid or that kid's ranked. Why did that kid fall? I think that's about to get even worse. First of all, you've got a bunch of guys out there ranking kids that don't go out and see high school games, and that's not just talking Louisiana. I'm talking regionally and nationally. So much of their analysis and ranking of players is based off T-shirt camps. And thirdly, you've got very few recruiting analysts covering multiple states. And now there's about to be another network forming from Shannon Terry and those guys. Of course, Shannon Terry had Rivals, 247. Now there's a third network that's about to get started underway. That's going to make that, you're going to see a bunch of guys. This is going to be an amazing summer if you follow the inside baseball stuff of recruiting and who's working where, who's gotten laid off. It's going to be very, very interesting to say the least. The information I've gotten in the week is amazing, but some of the rankings I've seen out there are a laugher. I'm like, how is that kid ranked that high when I know the guy who has this is his territory, never saw him play, and if he did see him play, he's watching huddle film or he's watching clips on Twitter. Makes no sense. Charles Duncan says he's going to be getting TigerBait for his nephews. Much appreciated, Charles. Hope they enjoy the website. With TigerBait.com, you get our newsletters, you get our text alerts on breaking news. All of our premium content, I'm on our message boards day and night. So we've got you covered at TigerBait.com. If you're an LSU fan, we really want to have you as a premium subscriber. And don't forget the Pride Roofing deal. And by the way, Pride, if you're in Sulphur all the way to Mobile, Alabama, they've got you covered. Everything south of Jackson in Mississippi, all the way to Mobile, Gulf Shores, Sulphur, all the way to the Louisiana-Texas border, Pride Roofing has you covered. They just opened up a new shop in Mobile. They're in Gulfport. So jump on that deal. I mean, you get a free roof inspection, you're going to get free TigerBait for a year. Let's see. Tyler Ozan. Corey Kiner is a player I can't wait to watch. Me as well, Mr. Ohio Football. I believe that kid has a tremendous upside. I see a little of CEH in his play. Yeah, and I tell you what, not only him, but look, Armani Goodwin is a guy with his speed and his track speed and his ability to catch the ball. You know, there's a real debate as to which one of those two freshmen is most likely to be a part of this offense. I know for a while it was thought to be Kiner, but then I'm hearing more people think that it might be Goodwin. So I think, but either way, based on what Orgeron's been saying, he wants those guys to come in and push him. I bet you he would have loved for both of them to have been a midterm grad, so he would have had them pushing Emory and Tyrion Davis-Price this spring. Beast Mode 21, I never understood how we can beat Auburn, but Auburn can beat Alabama and we can't. Yeah, well, you know, a big part of that's the rivalry game and playing above your head. You know, that's partly it. And of course, look, don't forget, when those things were happening, a lot of it was having Les Miles running his Dallas Cowboys offense and having one receiver out running a route on 3rd and 9. Absolute idiot stuff. Okay, guys, let's see what we have here. Let me get a few more before I head out. Let me see. Logan Smith, do you think we can keep Jake Peetz for more than a year if we have a similar 2019 offense? Good question. Very telling to me that Jake Peetz decided to go from the NFL to college. Is he a guy that prefers a college game? Usually a guy is not going to go from where he was at and then go down. They're going to stay where they're at and then try and move their way up in the NFL and move from NFL to NFL team. The fact that he left the NFL to go down to college kind of tells me that he might like either the lifestyle, likes the recruiting. He was in college programs previous to being with the Panthers, and I think that might be a tell right there. But either way, if LSU has much success, then you know, I don't know what his contract looks like with incentives, but you do what you can do to keep a guy like that. But look, if he's going to get offered a head coaching job in college football or an offensive coordinator position in the NFL, you know, that's always going to be very difficult for any college program to hold on to a guy with those kind of opportunities. And you want those guys to have those kind of opportunities. Kenny Russell. People have always doubted Coach O. He's steadily been bashed during his time at LSU, absolutely, no doubt. And some of it's been, look, I was a guy, and I say it all the time, and I enjoy saying it. I enjoy having ate my crow on Ed Orgeron. I was a guy that didn't think, you know, his name should have been on the list. But look, he made me a believer. And look, there's been some speed bumps. I think there's a whole lot of things that he also takes the blame for, and he doesn't set the record straight. But yeah, I'm an Orgeron guy. He's made me a believer. But look, you know, we're talking about how talented this team is and the way the schedule sets up, and what happens if they go 8-4. You know, we might be singing a different tune next December, but I tend to agree with you, Kenny, that there's a whole lot of people that even after having the most magical season in the history of college football in 19, still didn't want to give him a whole lot of credit, and that's unfortunate. Tyler Ozan, I think it was the boiled crawfish that caught his attention. Jake Peets, yeah. We probably need to watch those photo galleries, get a good look at him, and then see what he looks like in August, see if it's caught up with him in a short span, the Louisiana food. Kendall Neverville, what do you think of what to expect of Sage Ryan? Look, there's always an adjustment. I think, certainly would love to have him there at midterm, but we didn't. But he's a heck of an athlete, a hard worker, constantly training, working out. I think he can be brought up to speed real quickly. I think Matthew Langlois is a kid that's kind of that same guy. So I don't see any reason not to have high expectations. But here's the thing. If Sage Ryan isn't a starter as a true freshman, that doesn't mean he didn't meet expectations. But I do think he's going to be a factor. I think he's going to be on the field quite a bit. And the sky's the limit for Sage. Great wheels, put together kids. So, yeah. Shamar Stewart, Charles Duncan. Yeah, I'm wanting to talk to Shamar for an update, but LSU's really in a good position for him. So we'll see. What kind of lineup is going to happen this weekend versus Vandy? Look, I've got a Vanderbilt preview on the front page of TigerBait right now. Maneri met with the media earlier today. I've got all that video. Look, it's going to be a daunting task. You need, Hill and Marceau to have fantastic games. You need that middle relief lineup. You need some hitting. I mean, they're going to have to do everything right to win a game against Vanderbilt. But look, you never know what can happen. It's baseball. Wouldn't it be something if LSU were to get 2 out of 3 from Vanderbilt? I think they win one. I don't think they get swept. But that's why they play the games. So we'll see. I know they're going to have as many people in Alex box as they can get in there, so we'll see. Chase Myers, do you think in the end we do get Jacoby Matthews? Yes, I do. I think LSU's in good shape with him. I know in interviews he's said, he's not against leaving the state, so we'll see how that plays out. But I've always thought LSU is the place for him. I think the question for Jacoby is what is going to be his height and weight as a 19, 20-year-old in the LSU program? Because, he's put together. He's a big kid. I know you can talk about safety, but, boy, his body is something else. If he keeps growing, what position does he end up at? That's why you keep listing him as an athlete. So, Bart Smokey, we need the wind blowing out. Homers are our best bet. Yeah, I know a lot of people still lamenting LSU's inability to get runners on base across the plate and lack of bunting, and always it's the home run ball. But, yeah, we'll see how that plays out. All right, guys, I went to full 48 minutes. Thanks for joining us tonight on the Pride Roofing TigerBait live show. Give them a call, 275-2041. Go to TigerBait, subscribe. I'm going to have practice reports for you tomorrow. I'll be out at practice. We're going to have our own video package, photo gallery, the works. And so we've got it all for you at TigerBait.com. We'll be back here at our regular time next week, I'm pretty sure. So we'll see you guys then. Thanks for joining us, and see you on the other side. Go to TigerBait.com and subscribe.